So now that there's been like the paradigm shift in terms of like women stepping into like their power, etc., that's then created an element of male ego is always present, but women are having more masculine tendencies and more ego, and therefore there's more competition against men to be their man. But now that we're doing more similar things to men, I think that it creates that sort of ego struggle of, well, some men don't like that. Some women now are going, well, I want to be more, I want to one up on you. So it creates this kind of like power shift situation. I think there is a gender war. I don't agree with it, but I think there is one. I have my reasons for why I think there is one currently. And
give me your reasons.
There's been a shift in like society and where people sit in terms of hierarchy, right? So traditionally, it was more that women were subordinate to men. So now that there's been like the paradigm shift in terms of like women stepping into like their power, etc., that's then created an element of male ego is always present, but women are having more masculine tendencies and more ego, and therefore there's more competition against men and women. That's one reason I could see that it would make sense if you look at traditionally how we've discussed this before on other shows we've been on, that where, you know, you're getting women having more essence of that sort of male, what they'd say traditional male tendencies. So working, bringing in money, maybe even being breadwinners, going out to work and not necessarily being stay-at-home mums. So they would not necessarily be feeling like they have to compete against their man or a man. It doesn't have to be their man. But now that we're doing more similar things to men, I think that it creates that sort of ego struggle of, well, some men don't like that. Some women now are going, well, I want to be more, I want to one up on you. So it creates this kind of like power shift situation.
What do you think your advice to women would be to balance out what is going on right now within the war between the genders?
I think women could be a little more kind to men, if I'm honest. I think they could be a little more empathetic. I think traditionally, if you're looking at the power shift of like, now that we're stepping into our power and our essence of like, we can do this, we can do that. Also look at the fact that we've had expectations of men to do everything, but we're not giving them any leeway to say, okay, right, maybe chill. I think we're still maintaining that same expectation of men, and we're not seeing that it's created a shift for both genders. Right. So I think in certain scenarios, if women would alleviate the pressures a little bit off of men and have a little bit more empathy for the fact that maybe you guys need a break. So, you know, maybe that would make it a bit easier. But there's a lot of reasons, you know, I think that people are acting this way. But yeah, it's a difficult one. I think women having more of an understanding of men rather than doing like, you know, sometimes you get these women like, I hate when that they're like, oh yeah, all men are this, all men. I hate that shit. It's like, can we just not? Because you're still gonna go and run to the man anyway. But yeah, you're here changing. So I'm not here for all that. Like anyone that knows me knows I'm not into that thing. No, it's not for me. But you know, like they're still gonna go running to that same person that they're disrespecting. So I think if we just had a little bit more base respect, that would be much more helpful. I also don't think things like podcasts and stuff help.
Oh, really?
Sometimes they don't help. I sometimes watch podcasts and I'm like, I'm a solutions-oriented individual. So I'm like, we didn't get any solution. We sat down. We all overshared.
This is what this podcast is for, though. This
is why I said, when you asked me, I said, oh, okay, cool. Yes, I'm interested to find some solutions. You know, we go and everyone overshares about things about their life and bitches about their ex, and then goes home having just overshared and bitched about their ex and not really created any sort of no knowledge sharing or what can we do to uplift each other. And I think especially in the Black communities as well, if you go take it way back and you look at how it was when we had slavery and then we stepped into our truth, then you had the them and us culture with, you know, with white people and Black people and X, Y, and Z, which we still have now. These things take time. It's like generations and generations and generations. But we're in this rush culture. We're in such a rush culture because technology and everything is like overtaking us faster than we can fathom. And everything's we're too accessible. Everything's too present, you know. And I've given you a long answer, but you know I'm not. You know I'm deep. So
no, it's fine. It's fine. This is what it's there for. What do you think about that, Mark?
I'm gonna pass it to Stevie, and I'm gonna chime in on that.
All right, cool. Stevie, what do you think about what?
I got a question for her though. Do you think that we can fix the situation we're in right now? Because I don't think that we can fix it. Just based on like the rate it's going.
I think there's also a healthy level of understanding that men and women are different, and we can have, like, we talk about a lot about equality and everything and empowerment and stuff, but there's difference between equity and equality that people don't understand. So equity is giving people similar opportunities, but realizing that you need different things to achieve the same end goal, right? So say like there's a window, right, where Sarah's sitting and I'm 5'7", but my mum's 4'10". She might not be able to see out of the window, but to make it equal opportunity would be that we both get a stool the same size. Now I can't see out the window because I'm looking over the window, but she can see out of it. That's equality. Equity is making sure that her stool is the right size for her to also see from my perspective. And when you're looking at things like gender, sorry, and I've gone overcomplicated. When you're talking about things like gender, I think because we're not created equal, because we're different, this thing of everything has to be completely equal is not giving understanding that we're different. So we're creating power struggles on things that are not going to be exactly.
So are you saying the push for equality is the wrong thing to do?
No, I don't think it's the wrong thing. I think that people need to understand what they're pushing for, because we also want equality with some things and not with others because we're being selective. That's not equality, really, is it? That's just, you know, selective when it works for you. When it works for you. But I think it's not necessarily like a quick fix scenario, but I think that it all boils down to like respect for each other from both sides, a bit more understanding of each other. So rather than this bitchy narrative being like, how do you actually understand female essence, male essence, etc. And what is the end goal that you're trying to achieve, and how do we go forward in that? Feminism to me is me being able to free it up. You're taking it back to things that are like, that's what creates all of the discontent and issues in these societies, because you're taking it back, once again, you're taking it back to sex as well, which is like another issue. It's another big societal issue, and it's another big societal issue that we have that has caused issues between men and women is sex related issues, and women talking about like sexual power and X, Y, and Z, and we know that men, biological drivers, you're created to reproduce, so therefore regardless of our society developing that we're no longer like with one person throughout our whole life, you're still scientifically going to go forth and, you know, breed up the place. So I think, you know, we do have to remember these things, biology.
So do you guys think that one of the reasons for the gender war, because what I saw in that video was, even though it's me, not to try and blow my own trumpet, was somebody talking things that made sense, logic, rationale, and reason. Yeah. And then somebody opposing logic, rationale, and reason. My whole thing is, in a war, quote unquote, in a war, is there always one person, this is a random question, but I want to kind of get your lot's take on it. Is there always one person in the right and one person in the wrong? Or are they both right?
Everyone could be chatting shit.
In a war in general.
There's one truth. There's one truth in how people look at it, right? And more times than not, in this situation, men are going to be, we're more rational and analytical about these type of situations. And I know it's a broad generalization, but typically we are. We can put our shit aside and actually look at the fucking truth and not get tight about it. And then, you know, women tend to bring, you know, experiences and their emotions into it, and it's going to askew the truth. But we both have our biases, but I think that, you know, we tend to be more logical and analytical about these things. And it's
okay, so what do you think you can do to educate women then, to make them see you lot's side of things, because that would stop the war?
I struggle with this all the time, man. With like these, you said it, you hit nail on the head earlier. It was like these podcasts can become divisive because it's really the same shit over and over and over again, man. But it's like, how do you deliver the message to somebody who's not ready to listen to it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to give you the truth. And it's a harsh truth. I need to like cupcake it up and make it pretty for you to accept it. If it doesn't highlight you the way you think that you are, you're going to fight it. And that happens a lot of time with women. Like, how do you deliver? How do you tell someone an ugly truth? Like, how do I tell a woman she's fat? How do I tell a woman that, you know, if you fucking around, you a hoe, men ain't gonna want to wife you? And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why delivery is just as important as the message. But it's if you're really trying to get women to listen, we got to focus on the fucking delivery. But just if you can try to slice it as many different ways as you can, they're not gonna want to accept it unless they're ready.
So the reason why I asked that question, right, is because if I take it and kind of expand it, right?
Yeah.
Wars go on. There's a war going on with like Russia and Ukraine right now, right? Somebody within that scenario is right.
Yeah.
I don't know who.
Yeah.
I actually don't know who, but someone is, and only time will tell.
But you'd have to study their history.
You have to study it to see, right?
Yeah.
So in this war, someone's right.
Yeah.
But you're saying you're basing it on in this war, as in like
in this gender war, someone's right.
But what's the question for you to be right about? Do you see what I mean?
All right. So Stevie just said about you know, if you're fat, you're fat, right? Or if you fuck 600 men, you're a hoe, right? And that's what it is. Now somebody's right in that scenario. Somebody will say, no, if you fuck 600 men, you're not. And if you weigh 400 pounds, you're still beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Who's right and who's wrong? So the reason why I'm speaking like this is because what frustrates me, which is probably what frustrates a lot of us, is that people generally know right from wrong.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
All right. All right. Let me try and give you
Not anymore.
Stevie, like, not anymore. If I got up right now and slapped Laura in the face, am I right or wrong?
You're wrong.
Right. Do we generally know that?
Yeah.
Right.
Because of the people in the room.
Right. Okay. So if I got up right now and slapped you in the face, am I right or wrong?
Depends what we're arguing about. Depends what I said to you.
We're not arguing. We're just having this conversation, and I randomly just got up and slapped you in your face.
Yeah, that'll be wrong.
Right. But that's what I'm trying to say, because people generally know what is right and wrong. But what I think is people, though knowing what is right and wrong generally.
Are you saying subconsciously?
Consciously. No, people consciously
know.
People consciously know what is generally right and wrong.
In these times now, you
right,
believe
they do, because what it is that I feel like they're fighting against their own innate system within themselves that knows it's right from wrong. They not when you tell a woman that's had sex with 600 men it's wrong, and she says, "I know it's women's empowerment," she already knows it's wrong. Innately, she does, because she feels it at night when she lays her head down on her pillow. She knows that she's had all those men run through her. She feels guilty about that shit. But